Could there be a new PlayStation or Xbox portable partway through this new console generation? I think it's very likely, and I'll get to why that might be in a minute, but first, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch. And guys, feel free to jump into the comments at any time to offer your own opinion. We're just speculating, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. So why is the Switch so successful? Nintendo handhelds have always done well, always. So for them to make a new console that's also a handheld was a pretty smart move, whether that may have been because of confusion that customers had with the Wii U or just their own idea. But what makes the handhelds popular in the first place? I always thought it was because they were cheap, plus Pokemon, plus Nintendo Magic. Part of it has to do with collectors, and part of it has to do with Nintendo not ever giving us everything we ask for. For instance, we don't have a review or ratings feature on the eShop games. How are we supposed to know if a game is any good? Well, this has made several Nintendo Switch game review channels very popular, and in turn, the console gets more exposure. But again, I'm just speculating here. I think there's a countless number of factors going on here. Then getting back to Sony and the PlayStation Vita, why did this thing fail? Everyone points the finger at overpriced memory cards, but coming from someone that has been there from the beginning, I don't think that's it. You see, when the Vita was first released, a lot of games at the time had built-in save memory. They even had enough storage on the game card for small updates. So you didn't need a memory card. Sure, there were a few games, but you were already spending so much on the system, an extra $30 for a memory card wasn't that big of a deal. Then, when the second model of Vita came out, it had a built-in 1 GB of storage. This was more than enough for save files. If you wanted to download games, then sure, you'd need extra storage, but that was entirely optional. Just playing game cards, for the most part, you could get by without a memory card. I think the demise of the Vita was mostly bad timing. If you ask anyone in today's world what they dislike about the Vita, it's definitely the memory cards. It's certainly become the issue, but I don't think it was the issue when it first launched. When the Vita was first released, people were obsessed with phone games. I remember because it drove me mad. I saw all of my friends at the time playing their stupid free download clicker games on their phone instead of playing full feature games that you paid for once and didn't have to watch ads while you did it. Back then, everyone was playing phone games, it seemed. Of course, Nintendo was still doing well with handhelds because, well, they were cheap, plus Pokemon, and Nintendo characters. So I think at the time, not many people wanted to shell out money for a premium handheld. They were having just as much fun playing on their phones or cheap handhelds. Now, it took a while, but most gamers are over the crappy phone games, at least from what I've observed anyway. Today, I think a new high-end handheld would do well from Sony. Of course, the Vita hardware is getting old at this point. Most of the games I enjoy run fine on it, but it could certainly use some new tech. So, timing. Microsoft and Sony are busy with their new launch. People just shelled out a bunch of money for the new hardware. I think a good time to launch a new handheld would be partway through this new console generation. And this generation in particular is perfect. Both Sony and Microsoft have been using more PC-like architecture, which means the devs could potentially use the same tools to make handheld games. Or partway through this generation, we might be able to get to a point where you could fit PlayStation 4 or Xbox One performance hardware into a gaming handheld, which would mean a lot of gamers have an instant library of digital PlayStation 4 or Xbox One games. That would be awesome, just being able to play your existing games. It makes the hardware that much more affordable when you already have a games library to go with it. And this brings me to one of my other speculations. I think new handhelds from Sony or Microsoft would be digital only this time around. You won't ever see another handheld device playing disc media again. That was pretty wild with the PSP. But introducing a new game card format would probably be a waste of time and money at this point. Like it or not, things are moving to digital. Even the PlayStation 5 has a digital variant now. So going back to Nintendo for a moment, Part of what makes this system so popular is actually the physical game cards though. I know there's a huge collector market, so Microsoft or Sony would be missing out there, but I still don't see them going that route. Obviously, if I designed a new Sony handheld, I would want to give it a Vita card slot and find a way to make new Vita game cards hold more space for the new games, plus retain backwards compatibility for the old games, but that would require some complicated emulation, and bringing back any Vita content seems to be outside of Sony's current plans, since they have eliminated any mention of the Vita from their online stores. So yeah, I mean, from Sony's perspective, why bother eliminating Vita from their online stores? Well, maybe if they're planning on releasing a new handheld, it would be in their best interest to remove any confusion that might cause. Plus, getting rid of that reminder of failure. You don't want customers to see the Vita and be reminded, oh yeah, this new handheld might flop like the Vita did. So who knows, maybe a new handheld is what Sony is preparing for. Now on the Xbox side, a new handheld fits perfectly into Microsoft's plans. Technically, we can use xCloud and stream games to a phone like I have here. This is probably the closest thing we have now to a handheld Xbox. This is the Razer Kishi plugged into my phone, which I prefer over using a Bluetooth controller. This is wired directly, so there's no input lag. xCloud runs great. There is some slight internet lag, but only enough to affect online competitive gaming. This is all great and well as long as you have high-speed internet access and a 5 GHz router. Older 2.4 GHz routers will cause your game to be too choppy. So this cloud gaming on a phone isn't the most ideal solution, but it's a solution that most people already have the hardware for. Right now, Microsoft is all about selling games as a service. They don't even care what you play on PC, Xbox, xCloud. Heck, they're even trying to get Game Pass on Nintendo. If that would ever happen, that remains to be seen. They would need to come up with a plan that significantly benefits both parties though. I think a dedicated gaming handheld fits perfectly into Microsoft's plans. xCloud isn't perfect, as I've mentioned. You can't play it while you're away from high-speed internet. They want Game Pass to work on as many devices as they can get it on. And right now, they don't have a handheld or portable device that works outside of Wi-Fi range. If there were a handheld that functions just like the Xbox though, you would be able to download the games to the device and play them even while disconnected from the internet, as long as it connects occasionally to check for licenses and download updates. The whole reason why we have two next-gen Xboxes is because Microsoft wants to cover as many bases as possible. That means a wide variety of price range and platform preference. And that's why I think this is very likely to happen. Again, on Sony's side, I could see this being likely because of their removal of the Vita from the online store and because of the wide range of compatibility now. PlayStation 5 and 4 are essentially compatible architecture, so they could more easily make a portable device with that same architecture as well, meaning less work for developers. I mean, that was part of the problem with the Vita. There was a lack of games, a lack of developers. And this would give them a great platform to reintroduce remote play, which was a popular feature on PlayStation 4 and Vita. Anyway, guys, what do you think? Would you buy a new Xbox Portable or PlayStation Portable if it were digital only? I know part of the fun for me is collecting the physical games on the Vita, but I think I would still buy a modern portable PlayStation or Xbox all digital. I think I have enough faith in them keeping the digital rights active, especially if those games are compatible with the home consoles. I think they would be more likely to not let those digital rights expire. But let me know your thoughts. I'm just opening a discussion here. I love my handhelds and I love the online infrastructure that Microsoft and Sony have created with Xbox Live and PlayStation Network. So I want to see a portable version of those live on. Nintendo's definitely doing very well with the Switch, and I think there's room for competition. Or, I mean, maybe they're doing so well because they're essentially giving you two reasons to buy their hardware. One being Nintendo exclusives, and two being that they have something to offer that Sony and Microsoft currently aren't. A handheld. Anyway, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I will see you later.